Most towns cherish their stories, weaving them into daily life and community identity. Plaques, festivals, and local legends are everywhere, except in Havenwood. Here, folklore isn't celebrated, it's erased. Ask about local legends, and you'll get polite deflection or a change of subject. The town insists it's modern, practical, above superstition, but the silence is brittle, as if something vital was ripped away. History here is sanitized, stripped of anything strange or meaningful. The effort to forget is visible. People avoid certain places, tense at certain names. Havenwood's present is built on erasure, hoping the past will vanish if ignored. But stories once told linger, ghosts in the suffocating quiet. In Havenwood, the silence is not peace, but a secret everyone keeps. The void is clearest in the town library. Its local history section is almost empty. Officially, a fire destroyed the records, but there's no trace of disaster, only deliberate absence. The oldest residents are the most silent, their memories scrubbed of anything uniquely Havenwood. Even the landscape is stripped of meaning. The quarry is just the quarry, the woods just the woods. Places that should have legends are left nameless and mute. The town's festivals are generic, its jokes and references thin. There's no monster, hero, or trickster, no shared imagination. The result is a brittle culture, devoid of the richness that comes from shared, even dark, mythology. The missing stories are felt in every interaction, every celebration. Havenwood has cut itself off from its own imagination. The geography, like the people, is sanitized and silent. The town's soul is missing, and everyone feels the loss. Yet, if you listen closely, fragments of the old stories survive, especially the tale of the Weaver. She was a guardian, appearing to women at life's thresholds, offering protection not from disaster, but from bad bargains and quiet compromises. The Weaver's question, always different, forced women to see the truth of their own hearts. Her stories were intimate, practical, about boundaries, intuition, and saying no. She was a symbol of female authority, rooted in self-knowledge, not status. The Weaver's presence was a shared language among Havenwood's women, a way to acknowledge subtle dangers and inner strength. Her tales weren't grand, but they mattered deeply. The stories were about trusting yourself, even when the world told you not to. In whispers and dreams, the Weaver's wisdom lingered. The Weaver's stories unsettled Havenwood. In a town built on politeness and patriarchal order, a figure who encouraged women to question and refuse was threatening. The folklore gave women permission to be difficult, to trust their doubts, to set boundaries. Men found these tales especially troubling. They operated outside male control. The stories created a quiet sisterhood, a recognition that tradition could be a cage. The Weaver's legend suggested that a woman's happiness was a worthy goal, even if it disrupted the status quo. The tales were grounded in real struggles, not fantasy. To dismiss the Weaver was to dismiss women's experiences. The discomfort grew, and the stories became a quiet rebellion. The erasure began in earnest after Ilara's disappearance in 1976. Ilara, known for her independence, vanished near the old quarry, a place tied to the Weaver. The official story was that she ran away, but whispers told of her strange return, changed and silent, before vanishing for good. Her fate became a canvas for the town's fears, female autonomy, the unknown, and power outside their rules. The town's leaders seized the moment, framing the folklore as dangerous, blaming the Weaver for Ilara's fate. The stories were recast as threats, not guidance. The incident justified a campaign of suppression, not just forgetting Alara, but destroying the entire mythology. The fear sparked by her disappearance was used to burn the stories down. The Weaver became a predator in the town's narrative. The day Alara vanished, the stories began to die. The campaign to erase the Weaver was swift and ruthless. Landmarks like the Weaver's Perch were destroyed, the quarry fenced off and forbidden. The library purged any mention of local legends. The fire was a convenient cover. The town's history was rewritten by omission, every trace of the Weaver excised. Even language changed, her name was no longer spoken. Women who once shared her stories fell silent. Folklore became dangerous gossip. To speak of the Weaver was to risk social exile. The suppression was both institutional and social, enforced by habit and fear. People policed their own conversations, building walls in their minds. The silence became reflex, a barrier against the past. The landscape of women's private lives was fenced off, both literally and figuratively. The town salted the earth where its stories once grew. The erasure was called progress, but it was about control. The Weaver's folklore represented female power outside male authority, intuition, solidarity, self-knowledge. By destroying it, the town's leaders reclaimed control, teaching women to distrust their own feelings. Alara's story became a warning against listening to oneself. The suppression was community-wide gaslighting, severing women from their power. With the Weaver gone, only approved sources, church, patriarch, council, remained. The shared bond among women was broken. Each was left isolated. The destruction of folklore was a classic divide-and-conquer tactic. Without their stories, women lost their common cause. The silence ensured the old order would never be challenged again. Decades later, the silence in Havenwood is as thick as ever. The children of the erasure have grown up, inheriting the quiet without knowing its source. Certain topics are simply never discussed. The library fire is the official excuse. Outsiders who ask too much are met with polite deflection, then cold disapproval. Social acceptance is currency. Curiosity is punished with ostracism. The fear that drove the erasure has gone underground, manifesting as anxiety about disruption. The story of Alara haunts the town's subconscious, a warning against rocking the boat. Havenwood has traded its soul for safety, guarding its silence with desperate resolve. Yet the stories are not entirely gone. A few old women remember, passing on the Weaver's wisdom in disguised advice. Listen to that little voice inside you, a grandmother might say. The spirit of the folklore survives in everyday guidance, even if the name is never spoken. The myths were more than stories. They were survival guides, affirmations of women's worth and boundaries. Erasing them was erasing a vital toolkit for self-respect, but what is buried is never truly gone. The stories endure underground, like the roots of the ancient oak. They are woven into the women who remember, passed down in whispers and glances. Havenwood tried to bury its truth, but truth always finds a way to the surface. The stories wait for a time when it is safe to speak them aloud again.